My beloved child, pause for a moment. Everything else can wait. I have gently led you into this quiet place on purpose, and I will not allow the noise around you to pull your attention away before you hear what I have come to tell you. This moment did not happen by chance. It is no coincidence that you stopped here, that something inside you was drawn toward this stillness. That gentle pull was me. I planned this meeting with you long before this day arrived, before the mountains ever stood, before the first sunrise touched the earth, before anyone ever spoke your name into this world except me. I called your name first, and I spoke it with joy. Do not think this is just another ordinary moment. Heaven never calls an ordinary meeting. Every road that led you here, every turn you made, every delay, every confusing season that seemed to move you farther from the life you believed you were meant to live, was under my care. I was never missing from your wandering. I walked through it with you. I guided you through roads you never planned to travel. I closed the doors that promised more than they could ever give. And I kept open the doors I chose for you, even after you believed they had already closed. Nothing has been wasted. Not one step you have taken. This is the moment I prepared for you, and I did not bring you this far just to let you miss it. I know what has been hidden inside the quiet places of your heart. I am not speaking to the version of yourself that everyone else sees. I am speaking to the part you keep buried deep inside. I know the questions that visit you between midnight and morning, after the world becomes quiet. I know you have wondered if my eyes truly see you. I know you have questioned whether your prayers ever reached beyond the room where you spoke them. You watched 1 month follow another and season after season pass. And in those honest moments, when you stopped pretending everything was fine, you wondered if real change would ever come. Today I tell you with all my authority and all my love that every word you ever lifted toward heaven reached me. Every single one. I have kept every tear. I heard every cry your words could never express. Before it even escaped your heart, I already understood it. Not once have you spoken into emptiness. Now I want to tell you how I see you today. Not the way this world taught you to see yourself. Not through impossible standards. Not through achievements. Not by how useful you seem to others or by how little trouble you cause them. I see something completely different. I see a soul that has carried far more than one person was ever meant to carry. I see someone who slowly learned through love, necessity, and quiet pain to handle everything alone. Not because you wanted that burden, but because you never learned where to lay it down, and because few people noticed how heavy it had become. Each morning you learned to wear a smile like armor before stepping outside. It became as natural as putting on your clothes because you believed the day demanded it. You wore that smile so often that sometimes you forgot it was even there. But beneath it, I saw everything. I saw the tiredness that sleep could never completely remove. I saw the questions you buried because asking them felt too dangerous. I saw the sorrow you stored away because life kept moving and never seemed to leave room for your healing. I saw your longing for someone who would look beyond the image you showed and truly see the real person underneath. I see you. Not the image. The real you. And today I tell you without conditions and without limits that I love exactly who I see. Every weak place. Every uncertain place. Every wound. Every question. Every scar. Every place still waiting to be healed. I love every part of you. You were never created to carry your whole life by yourself. Not because you are weak. Your endurance has amazed me, and I have witnessed every step of it. But because doing life alone was never my design. I created you for fellowship. I created you to live with one hand reaching back to help another, and one hand reaching toward mine. Yet difficult seasons trained you to carry everything by yourself, to keep every responsibility moving, to make sure nothing slipped because the price of letting one thing fall seemed too great. Today I am asking you to stop trying to keep everything spinning. Put it down. Take a deep breath. The universe is not depending on your strength. I am the one holding it together, and I am fully able to hold your life together too. Now listen carefully about the silence surrounding you. Do not mistake it for emptiness. I created this quiet for you. I have pulled you away from the noise, from people's demands, from every voice asking for your time, your strength, and your attention so we could meet here. This silence is not empty space. It is a place I prepared. It is one of the most intentional places I have brought you into in a long time. Here, in this place, I will speak to you about what truly matters. I will expose the things the enemy has been using against you. I will tell you what season is ending and what new season is beginning. I will call you by name into the future I have been preparing long before you were ready to step into it. Stay with me. Every word from here forward has been chosen especially for you. Declare your amen if you have faith. Before we continue, I want this truth to settle so deeply inside you that it becomes the foundation for everything else I will say. You are seen, you are known. You are welcomed into my presence exactly as you are. Not the person you wish you had become. Not the person you hope to become someday. But the person you are right now, with everything unfinished, everything unresolved, and every tender place still healing. That is the one I am speaking to. That is the one I love. Now let me speak directly about what the enemy has been building inside your thoughts during these long months. He has been carefully putting together an argument. You may not have recognized it as his work. It sounded like your own honest conclusions about your life, but it was never yours. He knows how to make his voice sound like your own. He uses real events from your life as the material for his lies. He took the closed doors. He took the broken relationships. He gathered the prayers that seemed unanswered, the opportunities that appeared to disappear, and the seasons that lasted much longer than you expected. Then he gathered them all together and built one message. His message was this: you have been forgotten. Every part of that message is false. Now let me tell you what was really happening in each situation he tried to use against you. Those closed doors were never acts of rejection. I personally closed them because I knew exactly what was waiting behind them. I shut them because what was beyond them would have taken much more from you than it ever could have given back. The relationship that ended before your heart was ready to release it. I already saw where that road would eventually lead. I loved you too deeply to let you continue walking there. The opportunity that seemed to slip through your hands. I knew what it would have demanded from you during a season when you were not yet ready to carry its weight. What looked like being overlooked was actually my protection. What felt like refusal was my hand guiding you toward something greater. Even though you could not yet see what that greater thing was, it was only because it had not yet appeared. I had already prepared it for you. Your name is engraved upon my hands. Not simply written, but engraved. I want you to understand the meaning of that. An engraved name cannot be erased by changing seasons. An engraved name cannot be removed by failure. It means that even when you feel least deserving, I still look at you and see your name there, permanent, secure, and forever held. Nothing you have done, and nothing anyone has done against you, has ever changed that. During the times when heaven felt silent and closed above you, I was never missing. I was working underneath the surface of your life, in ways your human eyes could not yet recognize. I was moving where you could not see. I was putting things into place that needed to be arranged. I was opening roads you would soon need, and closing the ones that would have pulled you away from your true destination. Every delay carried preparation. Every closed door carried direction. Every night you spent weeping carried purpose. Those tears were watering seeds beneath the surface. Seeds that are now ready to rise into the light. Now I want to speak about the times when your prayers seemed unanswered. For many of you, that experience wounded your trust more deeply than any outward hardship ever could. Facing difficult circumstances is one thing. Calling out to the one who could change them, and hearing only silence is something far more painful. You began asking yourself if I was truly listening, In the deepest hours, you wondered if the silence somehow reflected your worth. You questioned whether others received answers because they deserved them more than you did. Listen carefully to what I am saying. My silence was never indifference. My silence was never abandonment. I heard every word you spoke. I remained beside you through every moment of waiting. And this is what I was doing during the silence. I was preparing the answer, not deciding whether to give it. That decision had already been made. I was preparing everything that needed to exist before the answer could accomplish what I intended in your life. Some blessings cannot last when they arrive too early. Without the proper foundation beneath them, they fall beneath their own weight. I have watched that happen to people I love, and I would never allow it to happen to you. So before I released the answer, I built the foundation. During the waiting, during the silence, I was placing everything where it needed to be so that when the answer finally arrived, it would remain. The answer is coming. It is not hidden in some endless future. It is nearer now than it has ever been. And when it comes, it will arrive in a season prepared to receive it, because I remained faithful in the work you could not yet see. I also want to speak about your tears. Every tear you cried in secret believing no one noticed, I gathered each one. I have forgotten none of them. I know the exact moment every tear fell. I know what it cost you to keep moving after the nights that produced them. I know the mornings when you forced yourself through another day, even though your strength had already been spent. I know how it felt to answer people with, "I'm fine," when fine was nowhere close to the truth. I witnessed every part of it, not from far away, but right beside you, closer than the wall you leaned against, present with you, holding you in ways your body could not sense, but your spirit quietly recognized. That season was never meant to become your permanent home. You were only passing through it. Even now you are still moving through it. And the place beyond it is closer than it has ever been. Now I need you to lay down the enemy's argument. Not because the events he pointed to were imaginary. They happened, and they truly hurt you. But the conclusion he built from them is completely false. Every day you believe that conclusion is another day, you live inside a lie meant to stop you from moving forward. You have never been forgotten. You have never been overlooked. You are not the exception to my faithfulness. You are my beloved child, and throughout every season that felt silent, I have been working faithfully on your behalf. Now let me speak about the fire. Many of you know exactly what I mean. Not as a symbol, but as the reality of living through a season where everything you trusted, everything you built, and everything familiar seemed to be burning around you. You stood inside that fire asking me why. During those long nights you cried out, wondering why I allowed something to happen that I had the power to stop. The answer is this. Yes, I could have stopped it. But I chose not to. And you must understand why, because understanding the reason changes everything. The fire was never punishment. I was never paying you back for your failures, or for seasons when your faith became weak. That is not who I am. Every hardship I allow into the life of someone I love carries a purpose. And that purpose is always meant for their good, never for their destruction. The fire you walked through was the fire of a refiner, and I want you to understand what a refiner truly does, because it is completely different from what the enemy wanted you to believe. A refiner places precious gold into the fire on purpose. Not because he wishes to destroy it, but because only the fire can separate what is pure from what is not. The impurities, the hidden mixture, the things that resemble gold while the heat remains low, but are not truly gold, can only be revealed and removed once the fire rises. The refiner never walks away from the furnace. He remains beside it. He watches every moment carefully. He controls the heat completely. He knows exactly how long the gold must remain there. Never one moment longer. He knows the work is complete when he looks into the molten gold and clearly sees his own reflection. That is exactly what I was doing in your life. I remained beside your furnace. I watched every moment closely. never from far away, never with indifference. I stayed near with the careful attention of a craftsman, working on something deeply valuable. I was removing the false places where you had learned to find security. I was burning away the supports that looked dependable, but could never truly carry your life, including the approval you kept seeking from people who were never willing to freely give it. The identity you built around always performing, always producing, and always being needed, along with the attachments that quietly kept you limited without you even seeing it. Those things had to be removed from your life, because they were never gold. They never truly belonged. You could not receive what I am about to place into your hands, while those things were still holding on to you. What came out of that fire is pure. What you now carry has already been tested in the deepest way, and it will not collapse under pressure, because it already endured the greatest pressure it has ever known. Everything that could be shaken was shaken, and it fell away. What remained was your faith in its simplest and truest form. Your love that kept reaching outward even when the world around you grew cold. Your willingness to trust me even while the silence remained. That is what stayed. That is what is pure. And it is worth far more than everything the fire consumed. Even the ashes you are still mourning. I understand your grief. The losses from that season were real. I am not asking you to pretend they never happened, to rush through the pain, or to speak victory over wounds that still ache inside your life. I am asking you to look at those ashes and remember that I am the God who gives beauty in place of them. That is not simply comforting language. It is my covenant promise. I never remove something and leave you empty. I take away what was hurting you and replace it with what brings healing. I remove what was false and replace it with what is true. I remove what could not last and replace it with what will remain. The places where the flames burned the strongest in your life will become the clearest evidence of my restoring power. The parts of your story that hold the deepest pain will become the places where my healing is seen most clearly. You will strengthen others with the comfort I gave you while you walked through the fire. Your testimony is being shaped in this season, and its strength will match the depth of everything you endured. You did not pass through those flames just so they would become a private sorrow. You came through them so your journey would become a light for someone who is still walking through theirs. I know you are not yet sure how to carry that calling. That is all right. I am not asking you to understand everything today. I am simply asking you to receive what I am doing and trust that the reason for everything you endured is far greater and more beautiful than you can presently see. Declare, I believe, if these words are reaching your spirit. I also want to remind you of something about surviving the fire that you have not fully accepted yet. You made it through. That is not a small thing. Stay with that truth for a moment, instead of quickly moving past the evidence of your own endurance, as you usually do. There were moments during the hardest days when you came very close to letting go completely, close to believing that the distance between my promises and what you could see was too great to keep trusting. Yet you did not let go. Even with shaking hands, even with tears running down your face, even while your questions remained unanswered, and the ground beneath you still felt uncertain, you held on. I need you to understand that holding on under those conditions, with so little visible to support your faith, is one of the greatest acts of trust I have seen from you. I did not overlook it then, and I do not overlook it now. Your faithfulness has been recorded. It has been honored. And it is exactly what has prepared you for what I am about to place into your life. Now I want to speak about something you have carried for years, as though it were a weakness. Something people around you often treated as a problem, or something you needed to overcome. Your sensitivity, the way you experience things so deeply that one conversation can stay with you for days. The way the feeling of a room settles over you like changing weather. The way you quietly carry the hidden pain of people around you without being asked. and without knowing how to leave it behind. You have tried many times to make yourself harder. You have worked to build walls strong enough to stop the emotions of others from reaching your heart. Yet every time those walls fell, every time something still reached you despite all your efforts to become less affected, you believed it proved you were not strong enough. I placed that sensitivity inside you before your first breath. I designed it with purpose and gave it to you with care. It is not a flaw in the way I made you. It is the special way I tuned your spirit so you could notice what others often miss. You recognize the hidden sorrow behind a friend's smile because I created you to notice it. You sense when something beneath the surface is wrong because I gave you that awareness. You respond to the quiet movement of my spirit with a readiness that many people spend their whole lives trying to develop because I placed that openness inside you from the beginning. This is not something that happened to you. It is something I intentionally gave you, and it is not a burden. It is one of the main tools of your calling. But I know how costly it has been to carry this gift without understanding it. For years you have lived like a dry sponge, taking in the emotional weight of everyone who crossed your path. You carried their worries, their fears, their sadness, and stored it inside yourself until you became so filled with burdens that were never yours that you could no longer tell where their pain ended and your own began. You often left conversations drained without knowing why. You felt emotions you could not explain. You carried heaviness that seemed to appear from nowhere. Yet it came from everywhere. From every unguarded encounter, from taking into yourself what was only meant to pass through you. So listen carefully. Today I am teaching you the difference between feeling and absorbing. I created you to feel deeply, truthfully, and with compassion. I never created you to absorb everything. Those are not the same. And confusing them has been stealing your strength. Feeling is when my love flows through you toward someone who is hurting. Absorbing is when you take their burden into yourself and try to carry it as though it belongs to you. The first is part of your calling. The second never was. I am the one who carries what they cannot carry. My shoulders are not like yours. What overwhelms you does not overwhelm me. Your part is to feel, to love, to speak the words I place in your heart, and then return every burden to me, just as a river empties into the sea. Let it pass through you, not settle inside you. Today I am placing a gate of wisdom around your spirit. It is not a wall that separates you from others. I am not asking you to become less compassionate, less available, or less open. I am giving you discernment so you will know what I have asked you to carry, and what belongs in my hands alone. Walk in this truth, and the gift I placed inside you will no longer steal your health or your peace. Instead, it will become one of your greatest strengths. You will be able to reach people in the deepest places of their hidden pain, to speak into wounds they have never shared with anyone. You will become a hand of my comfort, reaching places too tender for harder hands to touch. I also want to speak about those who walked away. I know that along with the fire and the waiting, those departures became some of the deepest hurts you carried in this season. You invested yourself into those relationships. You gave your time, your patience, your presence, and a love that asked something of you. When those people turned away, the pain was not only about losing them. It became a question. What did I do wrong? Where did I fail? If I had been different, would they still be here? Let me answer that question plainly. Most of the time, no. Their leaving was not mainly because of your shortcomings. In many cases, it was because of my work. I was rearranging the pieces of your life. I was the one who placed the boundary there. I was the one who brought to an end what you would have continued. Not because they were evil people, and not to punish either of you, but because the road I am leading you down requires a different kind of companion. Those who reduce you, who need you to stay small so they can stay comfortable, who continually receive the best of you while giving little of themselves in return, cannot travel with you into what is ahead. The path before you requires people who are able to walk beside what I am awakening within you. I was making room for what I am already sending into that space. Even now, new relationships are being drawn toward you, and you will recognize them by the deep sense of rightness you feel when they arrive. They are worth everything the clearing required. My beloved, I am inviting you now into a physical step of trust. Bring your seed of faith before me. Release a portion of what you have into the work of my purpose. Not because you are afraid, not because you must earn what I have already chosen to give you, but because you are declaring that your trust rests in my hand instead of your own strength. Whatever you release with open hands, I will return pressed down, shaken together, and overflowing. The measure of your surrender will meet the measure of my response. Sow into the work of my kingdom, then watch what I place back into your life. Now I want to speak about the harvest. I want you to understand what has truly been happening beneath the surface during every season that appeared empty to your eyes. The enemy has tried to convince you that your waiting had no purpose, that you remained in the same field year after year and nothing ever grew, that you kept sowing while the ground accepted everything and gave nothing back, that your waiting was simply wasted time, empty time, the space between the life you had and the life you hoped for. But that was never the truth. A farmer places a seed into dark soil and covers it. Looking from above, it appears that nothing is happening. Yet beneath the ground, the seed has already opened. Life is already pushing upward, moving through the darkness toward the light it was created to reach. The work cannot be seen from above, but below the surface, it is completely real. Each day the farmer looks across an empty field, while the roots continue growing deeper. Every week that passes with nothing visible is another week the hidden structure is being built to support the fruit that will come. No harvest can exist without that hidden season. It cannot be skipped. The farmer who keeps digging up the seed to check its progress destroys the very growth he has been waiting for. You have been living in that hidden season. The roots of your faith have grown deeper than you realized. The character formed through every difficult season. The patience, the endurance, the ability to trust me in darkness, because there was nowhere else to turn. Those things became your roots. They became the strength that will carry what I am about to bring into your life. Now hear me carefully. The hidden season is coming to its close. What has been growing beneath the surface is ready to rise. The field that looked empty is about to reveal its harvest. Everything you planted through faith, through tears, through the long nights when answers never came, and yet you continued praying, is beginning to appear. Stand where you are. Do not turn away when you have reached the edge of your harvest. This is exactly where the enemy hopes you will quit. After you have already endured every difficult season, when you stand so close to breakthrough that stepping back now would mean walking away from the very thing you have waited for. The old habit of expecting disappointment will try to return right here. You will recognize it. The familiar tension. The instinct to pull back. The voice that whispers, "Don't hope too much because it will only hurt more if nothing happens." That voice is not wisdom. It is simply the scar left by old pain trying to protect you from suffering that is no longer ahead. Disappointment is not what is coming. Harvest is. The gates already stand open. I opened them myself, and no human hand can close what I have opened. Beyond those gates are the very things you once carried to me in the darkness. The requests you eventually stopped speaking, because asking began to feel impossible. The provision that once seemed beyond reach. The healing you almost stopped believing could happen. The restoration for everything the difficult seasons damaged. The peace you have struggled to find since everything last fell apart. These blessings are not waiting behind a gate I am still deciding to unlock. The gate is already open. Now all that remains is for you to walk through it. Not later, now. The hesitation you feel at this moment, hear me carefully. It is not wisdom. It is not spiritual caution. It is fear making one final attempt to keep you standing outside everything I have already prepared. Take the next step. Whatever courage remains inside you, even if it feels much smaller than it once was, even if your hands tremble as you reach forward, take the step. I will meet your movement with the fullness of my power. That is not a promise based on conditions. It is simply who I am. Faith always draws my response. Just as fire responds to fresh air, you bring the step, no matter how small, and I bring the outpouring. I watched your faithfulness through the long, ordinary days of the wilderness, not only during the dramatic nights of tears, or the moments of crisis when you cried out, and somehow kept standing. I also watched the quiet Tuesday mornings, when nothing remarkable happened. When it was simply another day of choosing to trust me again. When there was little evidence and almost no feeling, I saw you show kindness to people who gave none back. I watched you pray for things you still could not see, and then return again to pray for those same things. I saw you continue serving even when no one recognized what you were doing. I watched you remain faithful when walking away would have been the easier path. Every one of those moments was seen. Every one has been recorded. Every one carried value in heaven and became part of the season that is now opening before you. Today that faithfulness is being honored. The doors I am opening for you are connected to the seeds you planted during the seasons when the ground seemed hardest and coldest. Declare, I trust. If you believe my hand is working for you today, I also want to speak about the provision that has been weighing on your heart. The gap that looked impossible, the need that seemed far too great, has never been beyond my ability. I have never looked at the need of one I love and said, that is too much. I am the God who made a way through the sea for people who had nowhere left to go. What seems impossible to you has never been impossible to me. Watch carefully what I will do in the place where you have waited for so long. The answer is coming from a direction you never expected, through the right door, at exactly the right time. Now I want to reach the deepest places within you. The place where your understanding of yourself has been formed. Because the enemy's greatest work against you has not been your circumstances. It has been your identity. For many years he has patiently attached names to you. Names you never chose or wanted, yet over time you accepted them as though they described who you truly are. Now I will speak those labels aloud, and as I speak them, I remove them. Not as a symbol but with authority. Forgotten, that label is removed. Too broken to be useful. That label is removed. Your season has passed. Not enough. That label is removed. Too far gone. That label is removed. Unworthy of what I promised. That label is removed. Every one of those names was false from the moment it touched your life. Today their place in your story comes to an end. I remove them with the same authority that called creation into existence. Now I replace them with the names I have always spoken over you, even before you were formed. Chosen. That is your name. Not because you earned it. Not because of your performance. Not because certain conditions were met. Chosen before the world began. Chosen while fully knowing every chapter your life would contain. Chosen because it delighted me to choose you. There is no greater honor a human heart can receive. Held. That is your name. Held during every season when you could not feel my hands. Held when the ground beneath you felt uncertain. When the future seemed unclear. And when today demanded more strength than you believed you had. You were held through every part of it. And you are still held today. Purposed. That is your name. You are not here by chance. You were not placed in this generation without intention. Everything about you, the unique way you think, the depth of your compassion, the way you love others, the things that move your heart, even the wounds you carry. Every part has purpose. I never create anyone by accident. I formed you exactly as you are for exactly this moment in history. Now let me speak to the dreams you quietly laid aside. I know exactly when you put them down. I remember the moment, or perhaps the many moments, when the distance between what you hoped for and what you lived became so wide that you believed it was safer to stop hoping. You told yourself it was wisdom. You called it being realistic. You convinced yourself that you were simply adjusting your expectations to fit life as it was. But what you were really doing was protecting your heart from pain you had already carried too many times. I understand why. I do not condemn you for it. But I need you to know that those desires were planted there by me. I do not place desires inside the hearts of those I love simply to disappoint them. I place them there because they point toward something I have prepared. Those dreams are beginning to wake again. During quiet moments, in the spaces between one task and another, and in those moments just before sleep, you have sensed that old hope beginning to move again, gently and carefully, unsure whether it is safe to rise. That movement is me. I am the warmth reaching into the cold ground, where those forgotten hopes were buried, calling them back to life. And this time everything is ready. This time the soil has been prepared through everything you have endured. This time what begins to grow will not be stopped before reaching its full purpose. Now I want to speak about your mind, because the greatest ground I have fought to reclaim has not been your circumstances. It has been your thoughts. During those difficult seasons, the enemy built strongholds there, and they have quietly remained ever since. The shame that keeps replaying your failures during your weakest moments. The anxiety that takes uncertain situations and fills them with the worst possible outcomes. The voice that sounds so much like your own, telling you that you are either too much or not enough, or that the blessings others receive are simply not meant for someone like you. Today I command those strongholds to fall. Your mind was never created to live under that occupation. It was made to be a place of my peace, my wisdom, clear understanding, creative thought, spiritual discernment, and the ability to receive what I speak and bring it into the world. None of those things can grow while your mind remains under siege. So today I am ending that siege. And into the quiet left behind by the enemy, I am speaking something new. You have permission to see yourself with kindness. You have permission to agree with what I say about you instead of arguing against it every time those words reach your heart. Believing what I declare about you is not pride. It is faith. Stop speaking against the truth I have spoken over your life. Allow it to take root. I also want to speak about the people you carry in prayer. The burden of standing before me for them has quietly worn you down. The concern you carry for those whose lives seem tangled, whose choices trouble you, whose situations remain beyond your ability to fix. No matter how deeply you love them, I want you to know that those people are also held safely in my hands. They are never an afterthought. I know each one by name just as surely as I know yours. I see every tangled place in their lives just as clearly as I see every tangled place in yours. I am working within them personally, deeply, and faithfully, often in ways that cannot yet be seen, just as my work in your own life remained hidden for a season. Place them into my hands with the same open trust I am teaching you now. Let my love carry what your love never could. Your love is beautiful, but it has limits. Mine has none. Rest knowing that the God who has remained faithful to you is also remaining faithful to every person you place before me. Your prayers for them are not disappearing into empty space. Not even one of them. Let me give you a picture to hold in your heart. Think about a field that has stayed untouched for a long time. The surface looks dry and empty, and it seems as though nothing will ever grow there again. But underneath, the soil is still full of life. Its ability to produce was never lost. It has simply been waiting for the right rain at the right time. That time has come. What will grow from that field in the days ahead will be greater than anything you imagined when you first planted the seed. Now I want to finish this sacred time by speaking about what comes next. I am not talking about your circumstances because those are already being set in motion, and you will watch them unfold. I am speaking about what I ask of you as you return to your daily life after this moment. I am asking you to rest, Not because all the work is finished, but as a declaration of trust. When you choose to rest, your whole life says what faith has already spoken. It says, I believe someone greater than me is working, and I do not have to carry everything through my own effort. Rest is the position of someone who knows I am God, and they are not. I placed rest into creation from the very beginning, because I know what every life needs to remain strong. Receive that gift freely. You never have to earn it. I also ask you to guard the words I have spoken over you today. The enemy will try to take back the ground I reclaimed. When he returns with the same old lies and the same old names, and he will return, answer him with this truth. Do not let it stay only as a memory of this moment. Speak it aloud. I am chosen, I am held, I have purpose. My life is safely in the hands of the one who loves me completely. That is the truth about your life spoken directly against every lie that has tried to replace it. And I am inviting you to come closer. Not closer to a routine, a method, or a system. Come closer to me. The desire inside you for more of my presence is holy. I placed that desire within you. Every longing I create points toward the very thing that can satisfy it. Your longing for me is leading you straight to me. I am not hiding from you. I am drawing you near. Come closer. Let my presence become the place where your heart rests every day. Do not make it somewhere you only visit during hard times. Let it become the ground beneath your life. Let it be more than something you reach for when everything else fails. Let it be the steady foundation beneath everything. My precious child, this is the final word I want to leave with you today. Before the world was ever created, I knew you and I loved you. Through every season of your life, the joyful ones, the painful ones, and the long seasons in between, I have held you close. I have pursued you and cared for you, with a love that has no limit and no end. That love is the greatest truth about your life. It is stronger than your circumstances, steadier than your feelings, and remains true even on the days when you cannot feel it. You arrived here today carrying burdens that were never meant for you to carry alone. Today I am lifting part of that weight from you. You will begin to notice it becoming lighter. Maybe not all at once, but little by little in the days ahead. You will notice it in mornings that feel easier, in unexpected moments of peace, in courage that rises exactly when you need it, even though you cannot explain where it came from. It came from me. It has always come from me, and it will never stop coming. Keep moving forward. I am already waiting for you farther down the road. I have already stood inside the moments that still make you afraid. I already know what is ahead. And I tell you with certainty, it is good. Walk forward with that truth carrying you whenever your own strength feels small. I am with you. I always will be. And every word I have spoken over your life today will accomplish exactly what I sent it to accomplish. It will not return without fulfilling its purpose. Say, yes, I am ready, if you are prepared to step into everything I have promised you today. We run on viewer support only. For exclusive member-only content, scan the QR or see the pinned comment. God bless you.